Hello and welcome to Lecture 1 Unit 2 of Strategic Management course in MBA program. I am Pankaj Chauhan. I am associated with Ajay Kumar Garg Institute of Management, Ghaziabad. Today in this session, I will discuss the basic concepts of environmental scanning, approaches of environmental scanning, and the factors that should be considered in the environmental scanning. So far, the learning outcomes are concerned. After this session, you will be able to understand the concept of environmental scanning along with the implications of these factors of the environment from the strategic viewpoint. You will also be able to describe the approaches of environmental scanning, and we will discuss 3 approaches. These approaches are as per the function of business specific dynamics. After this session, you will be able to explain what number of factors to be considered from the perspective of company. So, in that sense, this unit number 2 is all about environmental scanning and scanning related methodologies. Business operate in environment, and it is never possible that if something change in the environment would not impact the business. Now, to begin with, let us take one of the analogy. If a pilot is landing or taking off, he will always look at the conditions in the atmosphere. Also, on the other side, if you look at the example of a farmer, before cropping anything, farmer always try to look at the condition of monsoon and possibly testing of the soil. In both the cases, the objective is same. The objective is to analyze the risk in advance so that future course of action can be decided. Same thing is applicable to business. As a manager, or per se as a student of management or strategic management particularly, I should be able to understand the risk associated with the things which are changing in the environment. So, with this, let us begin the session, and to take you further through the entire session, I will be sharing certain examples. The examples will help us to understand the nitty-gritty of the concept that possibly the language of the concept may not able to communicate. So, herein I am going to take the example of a company, that is ITC. ITC was formed at Calcutta in 1910. So, we are into 2020. So, it is a more than 100-year-old company under the name of Imperial Tobacco Company of India Limited as a subsidiary of British Tobacco Company UK, because at that point of time we were under the rule of Britishers. So, that company was initiated as a subsidiary of British Tobacco Company UK. As the company's ownership progressively Indianized after the independence, the name of the company was changed to ITC. So, here is the journey of how the name changed. Initially, the company started with Imperial Tobacco Company of India Limited. That was the initial name. In 1970, the name changed to India Tobacco Company Limited. By 1974, the full name of the company reduced to acronym ITC Limited, and in year 2001, the name of the company remained only ITC. The full stop or these dots were dropped from the name, and now ITC is the name of the company. It is no more any kind of acronym or initialized form. Now, if we look at the industry to which ITC belong, to tobacco industry, and which is a very challenging industry. Challenging industry in terms that so many things to be considered by the companies which are working in this industry, and there are so many announcements by the government and all possible agencies that time to time create some sort of challenges to the companies working in this industry. So, let us have a very quick view about certain information regarding this industry that will help us to understand what it takes a company to stay 100-year long survival. That is the point which is to be highlighted through this case. So, India became a party of WHO Framework Convention to Tobacco Control in 2005. So, when I say India, it means Government of India. They signed this WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. Because of this, Indian government agreed to stop any kind of promotion of tobacco products. And obviously, if it is to be it has been signed by the Indian government, and they agreed to some way restrict the promotion of tobacco products, so definitely it is going to be reflected in the policy of Indian government, and those policy as a part of economy will definitely affect the industry. Then smoking is completely banned in the public places and in the transport. However, selling of the cigarettes and tobacco products is not that much restricted. There are certain restrictions, such as the tobacco products cannot be sold within the 100-meter radius of, or 100-meter radius of any school or institution or religious institution per se. Another restriction is on the age. No tobacco product can be sold to the person who is lesser than the age of 18 years. So, there are certain restrictions regarding the selling of tobacco items, apart from complete ban of smoking on the public places. Also, there are restrictions on the advertising of tobacco products. Company cannot promote tobacco products. They have to be following certain other routes to promote their products. Direct awareness campaigning, direct advertising planning is not possible, and we have seen the concept of surrogate advertising to overcome this issue. Health warning labels in picture and text. This is very important, because the package that contain cigarettes, that package has to have a picture showing the ill effect of smoking or per se tobacco item by covering approximately 80% of the total area of that packaging, and that too with a text message regarding the health injuries that can be caused by the smoking. Now, if we look at this one example, then this made the selling of tobacco items more difficult, because it is going to affect psychologically the consumer. Now, there are some NGOs which are non-government organizations, and they are basically non-profit. So, one example is tobaccokills.co.in. You can go to this website and check. They are into the campaigning against cigarettes. They run the campaign of #QuickTobaccoIndia, and they are also running a very full-fledged Facebook campaign against the smoking. So, if such and it is not the only organization which is running this kind of campaign. There are a lot of other NGOs who are also working to the same area, and these NGOs somewhere create awareness against these kind of products. So, all these going to affect the total demand. Not only this, let us look at one more information. See, this is the graph which is showing the contribution of tobacco industry to the total total revenue generated from the tax. So this data is taken from 2005 to 2018 and 19, and you can see a progressive increase in it. And if a particular industry is paying high tax, right, if they are contributing high, possibly there are two reasons. Number one, within that industry there are large number of companies, right, and they are giving tax to the government and that tax rate may be reasonably low because number of companies are high in this case. But in case of tobacco, there are only few companies who are working in this area, and even if they are their number are low and they are contributing among the largest contributors, which means that these companies are paying taxes at very high rate. So if I club this high tax rates which they are paying with these all kind of information available regarding this industry, this is again going to impact the tobacco products. So the prices of tobacco product will going to be up, and if price goes up, then demand goes down. So again, this is another information that is not favorable for the tobacco industry. Other than to this one, there is a government funded project called Project Maitri. Here Maitri stands for Mobilizing Youth for Tobacco Related Initiatives in India, and the very purpose of this Maitri concept is to aware youth against the ill effects of tobacco and cigarettes. After all this kind of information, and I started in the beginning that this company started from 1910. 1910 to 2020, more than 100 years passed, and this is not the story of these 15 or 20 years. This is the story of last 50 or 60 years time. So what company decided is to shift from the tobacco business operations to the non-tobacco part, and let us look at the portfolio that currently this ITC company is holding. ITC is into the hotel business. Initially they were running the hotels by the name ITC Welcome Group, which now is My Fortune Group, right. So they are still into this hotel business. ITC is also into the greeting card brand, which is by the name Expiration, very popular once a time, still it is into the existence. ITC is into the casual wear brand, apparel segment. We can see the brands of ITC. The very popular brands are John Player and Will's Lifestyle. ITC is also into the food brands. They are also into the food segment, Ashirwad, Mint O, Gum O, Be Natural, and a whole range of biscuits under Sunfeast brand, Candyman, Bingo, Yuppies. These are all from ITC. ITC is also into the personal care brands, Fiamma Devils, Wevel, Superia, Engage Dio, a range of Engage Dio. ITC also targeting the stationery items, and they are successfully marketing and selling their product under the brand name Classmate, Papercraft, and Color Crew. Other than to these all kind of businesses, ITC is also into the safety match brands and Ship, which is very popular brand, I Know and AIM. These are some of the brands of safety matches from ITC. Mangal Deep is a agarbatti brand from the house of ITC, and we all of us know that ITC is also into the information technology business, and they are running this business by the name ITC Infotech India Limited. So my point is, what this company has done is they have created a portfolio of different kind of businesses, and in order to reduce the risk, because earlier they were basically the majority of the revenue was generated out of the products from tobacco related productions. Now they have shifted their focus from tobacco to the non-tobacco items, and this is the demonstration that how they have developed a complete portfolio. Now one question you may particularly have in mind is why ITC only? Why I pick up this particular company ITC? The very purpose of this unit is about telling you regarding the environmental scanning, and my purpose is to demonstrate the impact of environmental scanning on the success and failure of a company. It's not that impact arise soon. There are the cases wherein we see that something happen, something change, and instantly impact appear. But in case of businesses, it's a very long process. So I was looking for a company which actually is of at least 100-year-old, which have seen different phases in its life, ups and downs in terms of business strategies changes, business inter-rural area changes, portfolio changes. So this is one of the company that I chose for this purpose. The thing which I want to communicate is that if I consider this outer circle as the business environment wherein this company is operating, so obviously if anything change in this business environment, if anything change over here, and this company is actually working within this business environment, obviously this change will impact this business, this company. The speed of the change is very quick, very fast, but the impact of this change may not be of equally quick. The impact will take to appear, because company will respond, and then there will be a kind of interaction between the response of the company and the change, and then consequences will appear. And out of those consequences, company will then further decide whether to continue with that particular response that company responded against this change, or they have to make another change. In the meanwhile, what will happen is that once the consequences arise, then company will check whether to continue with these actions that company took or not. There could be certain change in the policy level by the government. It is not only the company which is working here, there are some competitors to this. So competitive moves could be there, and the earlier whatever response this company made to counter this change, now this become little more complex because of the participation of other things. And it is therefore I said that I was looking for a company who has gone through such a phase wherein so many type of interactions took place. Now, what we can learn out of this entire discussion? There are three things which I have highlighted here as the learning. One, how many type of factors that can affect business. So when we talk about business environment, the business environment is just not the simple list of 2-3 factors. For example, in this case, taxes, government policies, regulations, social groups, these are some of the factors. But other than to this one, if I try to club up, for example, government policies with the regulation, government policies, regulation with the taxes, government policies, taxes, and with the social group. So interaction is very important. Business environment has got 5-6 broad categories of the factors. But as a student of strategic management, I need to understand that these factors do not work independently. There is a interaction based reflection of these impact. Second is, we can learn how changes in business environment affect the strategic decision. Now recall the different businesses wherein ITC currently is into. There are various related businesses, there are various unrelated businesses. So going to a particular business and leaving the successfully running business, because ITC earlier was into the tobacco and cigarette business, but they decided to move out from these business. So leaving from a business, starting new area, so diversification of the business is a strategic choice. Similarly, as I said, they chose to reduce the dependency on tobacco revenue, which means that they are going to leave these particular product sooner or later, because they have decided that it is not going to give benefit in longer term. Finally, why sustainable development of a company is possible without reacting to the environmental factors. As I said, what it takes to a company to live for more than 100 years. What it takes for a company. It takes the interaction constructively handling the strategic issues, and ITC has done it very well so far. So in a more elaborative manner, what I can make out here is that for a student of strategic management, we should not look at the business environment just as the categories of 5-6 factors. Study of business environment helped me to understand what are the different stakeholders. For example, I can consider the social group as one of the stakeholder, but I may not consider some other factor as my stakeholder because I am not directly associated. Business environment helped me to understand that it is not the individual factor which is going to affect me. I have to take the factor as a stakeholder because it is going to impact my business and I have to respond to this. So by and large, good understanding of business environment help me to avoid any kind of sudden surprise that may arise because of the changes. Now look at another example. This example is of a company called Baldwin Locomotives. It is a Philadelphia based US based company, and this company started in year 1825, and if you look at the timeline, it's again a company which lived for more than 100 years. Once it deals in steam locomotives, steam turbine, railway gun, artillery shells for Russia, UK and US. They were into the manufacturing of M1917 rifles, but eventually they failed to succeed anymore. Right? The reason for their failure can be tracked to these three important strategic reasons. One, inertia to change. During this time period, steam was used as a source of energy and more of the locomotives or engines were steam based. But this is also the time wherein the petrochem based engines were started to come to market. Now because of the past success, this company becomes so complacent that they started to ignore the success and the emergence of diesel based or petrol based engines. Maybe because of when they were into the steam locomotives and steam turbine, these require huge investment. If they even wanted to shift their business to the new energy source and try to develop their new facility for that technology, obviously it requires huge investment. That may also make them convinced that we should not. Secondly, these all are the reasons why not to change. Inertia of change. When you require huge investment, already you have invested huge, so obviously it will make some problem. And because of all these complacency and inertia to change, the company becomes so myopic that they even never initiated the activities to advance any of their business areas. Of late they started, but by the time things went out of control, so strategic myopia may appear. And because in any of their business area, all business areas were quite competent and were more demanding in that point of time, but the company didn't take care. So my point here is ITC lived for 100 years, even successfully running today, but this company failed. Reason? Y.C. Deveshwar, the ex-chairman ITC, quoted that organizations have to reinvent themselves. That is very important for individuals as well as for the companies, because change is continuous outside. And I would like to connect this with a quote by Charles Darwin, that it is not the strongest species. If I am going with the strength of the Baldwin, they are very strong. These kind of companies are very strong. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to the change. So the companies, the individuals who are responsive to the change will survive, and these two companies, by this example, help me to understand this one. Now let us move to the conceptual part of environmental scanning. As a concept, Environment of organization are so dynamic because there are factors that keep on changing. Some changes are intentional, we deliberately make certain changes. Some changes are very random, they appear suddenly. The business environment of the organizations are quite complex because of the involvement of so many factors, and all these factors are multifaceted, which means that a change in a particular factor can be considered as opportunity for one, but the same change cannot be considered as opportunity, but can be a challenge for the other. Environmental scanning is a concept about moving from infinity to a finite list of the factors that I need to more concerned about. So, there are three categories of factors. One, deterministic factors, wherein things are less changeable. These are more certain, I would say. These include the government policy. Any government policy live for at least 5-year time or 10-year time. Similarly, socio-cultural aspect. Then probabilistic, which are moderately changing, and there are certain random factors like technology and climate. They have high frequency of change. The definition part of the environmental scanning include the process to analyze the uncertainty. The purpose of environmental scanning is to analyze uncertainty in the relevant external and internal factor which can affect the organization performance. The process of analyzing critical factor is not limited to just analysis part, but has to be disseminated. The information has to be disseminated to the strategically important area of the business, to the people who are taking care of this area, to avoid any kind of strategic surprise. So, you do the analysis and you disseminate that information to the people concerned. Now, look at what is environmental uncertainty. Environmental uncertainty is the interaction between the degree of complexity and the degree to change. So, on one front, if I take degree of complexity and the degree of change, I can make out that this is the area which is of high concern, and this is the area which is of low concern. This is how we can analyze on what factor we have to give more time and on what factor we have to give less time. There are two levels. One is external environmental analysis we do, another is the internal analysis that we will take up in another lecture in detail. So, there are possibly these two levels only. Now, there are three approaches. One is methodological approach, wherein we have a very set of framework for the continuous data gathering regarding the various factors that we consider as a company very important to monitor the changes. Another is the improvised approach, wherein we deal with specific and infrequent issues. It is quite, I would say, ad hoc basis. An explanatory approach, wherein we take the information on regular basis from the various government reports. Now, if we consider these all factors, we can draw a diagram to look at how to see these different kind of categories of factors. So, this is the environment, and wherein this is the farm. So, the environment here has certain factors that we will consider under pistol, and then this particular firm will be dealing within the industry. So, these are the industry related factors, and this is the firm. So, industry related factors include entry to barrier, bargaining power of buyers, suppliers, availability of substitute, etc. So, this is how we can see that there are different levels within which we have to study the various factors of environment. Now, why environmental scanning is important, and this is going to be a kind of summary. The environmental scanning help us to know the degree of complexity, identify the early signals so that we can respond properly, find out the trends and degree of changes, and to know the level of impact of the change. It is not just identifying the signals and those factors which are important. It is equally important to understand how they are going to impact ourselves in the business. So, with this we have come to the end of this session. In the next session, we will pick up the next topic, which is about the industry analysis. So, thank you.